Welcome back once again, ladies and gentlemen, to the ESL Katowice Royale, and things are certainly heating up right now. Gentlemen, welcome back to the desk. Of course, we have Stress and Baller joining me once more. We're now into our 5th round of the day, and after this, of course, we only have 2 more rounds to go. So, gentlemen, this is where things really start to get important. This is where every single elimination, where every single placement you can get slightly up the leaderboard is really going to count towards your final standings.
Yeah, and definitely these players are trying to get as many points as possible every single game. And we can see there, Precious and his partner absolutely cleaning up, getting a few points from eliminations at the end there, but I think we want to see more. I think we want to see more
This man knows.
eliminations.
He's been sitting here at the end of the desk just going, feed me more is essentially what he wants. He wants, yeah, you know. But he wants more eliminations. He wants more action. And I think we're all looking forward to that moment where everyone has to make their move, right? Everyone wants to be at the top of the leaderboards. And now some of these teams are going to be in positions where they have to make those moves.
Yeah, and you know, there's the other side of the competition here, where going into the later rounds in the day, decision-making is a lot harder because you've been playing now for 4 rounds. You're going into game 5. It's a marathon. It's not a sprint. You have to be able to perform consistency we've talked about all day. So now I'm expecting to see whether our winners will start slipping up a little bit, and we might see other people start taking advantages. And that's the really intriguing thing here, where it starts getting a little bit loose towards the end of the day.
And Ball, I wanted to ask you who you think has been most consistent today. Who have you always been seen approaching those end zones? Who's been kind of impressing you on the DL a little bit?
Yeah, on the DL, I still think Mozart and his teammate Richard are doing really well. I'm not sure how well they are in terms of placements, how far they're getting all the way to the end game, but I've definitely seen their name pop up. But another one is Lothar and Noisy have been absolutely dominating in terms of getting towards that end game. They won that one game. I saw them in this last one. So I think they're impressing us ever since they were up on this desk.
Hey, I'm just saying there's a little bit of magic in the air up on Tomato Temple. That's all I'm saying.
Quick, I'm just going to go run into like any game. Maybe I'll get a victory royale at this point. If we've been up here, I've been up here hours. We'll just in the free play area. Not
hey, if that's what it's done by, like time up here, I'm winning every game forever. That's what I'm saying right now. Obviously, now we're moving into our next game. I want to keep an eye on Lothar and Noisy because I think, like we've been saying, their game plan coming into things, we've spoken to them, was consistency. And they've been able to work on that. And they have been consistent even from that round 1, but they've got better and better as the rounds have gone on as well. They picked up that victory royale as well in round number 3, but they've always been in the fights, in that end game. And with only a few rounds left, one big game here could really help them up those leaderboards.
Yeah, I don't want to downplay Precious's performance there either. I have seen his name and his duo's name pop up frequently in these end games. But one thing I want to touch on in terms of consistency, I was watching these and I'm like, hey, this is actually turning out to be very similar to the Australian Open. It was a different format, but still, these players all played so well towards the end game. They all wanted to get there. And in terms of consistency, X2 Twins, they won 3 games. He won 3 games in a row. And well, we haven't seen that here today, but again, I want a repeat winner, guys.
Of course, we're going to see those 2 gentlemen next weekend, of course, when we have all the international flavor about the tournament. But I've actually got some questions coming in from social media for you guys, as I saw your chest get a little bit tighter there and you got a little bit more worried. And you can see this first one here. Do you guys believe the points format is perfect? I feel like it's balanced, but this is showing us that 60+ people will be in the end circle. Thoughts, gentlemen? Honest thoughts. Go on, put it out there.
Yeah, this point format is very interesting. One of the things that once we get towards the standings, is seeing how spread these players are going to be. We talk about consistency, right? And that's who's going to be on top, is the players who are definitely being consistent if we're spreading these victory royales out so much. One of the things is that it is kind of making people fight for every single point, right? That's why we're seeing so many players towards this end game. Not necessarily just the format, it's also the way these guys play. This is the way they like to play. But definitely, there's a lot of players going for every single point.
And I like the way that it at least rewards placement a little bit more than some other formats we've seen. Now, what that does mean is the reason we're getting a lot of players later in the game is because you don't want to drop out early. You don't want to just go everything or nothing and bust out before you get the points. But if you do get into the top half of the pack, you do start getting rewarded. So that aspect I definitely like, with that high reward for kills.
Yeah. Last thing is, I think that, you know, the point threshold system that have been run at previous skirmishes actually encourages risks a lot more, right? Because if you don't get over that threshold, you're not getting any points, right? And it's the same thing here for placement. That's why you're playing careful. There's a threshold of 25 duos up. So risks in the other format. This one, it's a little different which risks you're going for.
And it's a sign of adaptability. These players have to adapt. It's not just the game constantly evolving, it's the format's constantly evolving as well. So it's kind of like these guys are turning up and going, right, how do we play this one today, gentlemen? How do we play this weekend? And that's a big decision, isn't it? And that shows, again, this incredible adaptability these players have to have.
Yeah, certainly. And of course, this set of weekends being some of the first international competition we're seeing, I wouldn't be surprised to see pieces of different formats start kind of being forged together for the future. I think the perfect format hasn't been found yet. It's not as simple as saying, oh, we'll just play this one right now. But I like the way that this one has an impact on the game.
Well, we've got one more question for you guys as well from social media, just to keep you guys on your toes. Should each kill be 10 points instead of 5? Thoughts, question mark.
I wonder whether that might actually increase
I love how these are putting you on the
passivity.
spot as well. It's just like, give us an answer right now,
I wonder
live.
if that would make it more passive in a way, because suddenly you only need one kill. Like, I think that requires a ramping of the placement points as well, because if I get one kill and I place better than the first 10 people on the points system, like that's a big reward.
I tend to stay away from the debates whether points or certain things should be worth certain
Smart
points.
man.
And that's because I'm not looking at the stats, right? I don't know exactly what is going on down there, and I'm not going to be able to make the decision to say, oh, what's balanced? Is the placement,
Right.
should they be valued more? Is the elimination, should they be valued more? We definitely want to incentivize people going after. We want to see action, obviously. But it's definitely a hard topic to solve. And
Well,
I'll take the bullet.
I was going to say, you take the bullet. If you wondered why I'm asking the questions, because I'm the smartest one on the desk. It's as simple as that. If you don't give the answers, you're the smartest guy on the desk. You ask the questions. Gentlemen, obviously it's been an absolute pleasure to hear your answers. And keep your questions coming in as well. Use that hashtag ESL Katowice Royale to get your opportunity to ask these guys whatever you want to know about the game. We've got some of the best minds in the game here, so why not pick away at them and find out the answers to your questions? I think we're just a few moments away now from getting into our next game, gentlemen. Are we expecting this one to get even ramped up even more? We're going to see more gunfights, more eliminations at the start of this one?
So I really hope so as we head into round number 5. Don't forget to thank the bus driver on your way out. We are dropping in, taking a look up towards Viking and Polar. At this point, there's, this is where Richard is going in, and Mozart trying to just get that drop down on that south side of the map.
yeah, this is one of the duos I was interested in seeing. Where are they going to land? And it looks like, I actually talked to them, they land to the snowy areas, the little lodges around here. So you can see he kind of faked that he was going on to Polar. I don't know if there's anybody going there, but if they were, they would be like, oh no, there's somebody contesting us. And in this case, no, he's going to those little lodges.
The
spread
early
out.
mind games. I love that.
It happens, man, it happens. Even on the drop, people kind of like, the drop is very important, and they don't realize, just when you're gliding, there's so many little intricacies that go into it.
Kezzy's got to get his groceries, get those materials as he's taking down the shelves in retail row. Katrab already got downed. This is Venox again. We saw Venox kind of almost constantly in a fight in the last round. Like, Venox seemed to be up against it. I can't see his duo partner. Does that mean Blex has already been eliminated?
Yeah.
Yes, Blex is already out of this one. So another tough game for Venox.
Definitely. This is one of the engagements that we've been kind of keeping an eye on, right? Lonely Lodge. These guys have been engaging really early, and this is something that you don't necessarily see all the time in Lonely Lodge because people like to split the tower and the little houses around and the lodge, right? So both halfway down there.
Oh, that's the minigun firing up this Katrab, trying to find anything that he can on Venox. This Venox is going to get pushed from two sides. Edits, but moves out. The minigun just about spins up to pick up the elimination.
Love that play, making the edit and then actually moving away and then flossing to put that icing on the cake with that one. But I was, as soon as he pulled out the minigun, I was like, oh, this guy's going to have a tough time, Vetrox, getting away from that. Because that minigun just puts so much pressure on, and with the low mats in the early games, tough luck for him, man.
And as you said, the edit just to pull him out of that situation. Moves, uses that corner piece to stay alive. Retreat at this point, just picking up the spoils of the farming.
Yeah, actually, looks like this fight just ended real quickly here. But one of the other things that I wanted to mention in that edit was he edited, went to the side, and then his teammate actually came from the other side. So he like kind of baited that guy to try to follow the guy with the minigun, but then his teammate came from the other side. Really nice play there. That's a little bit of teamwork that you love to see.
That's the aspect of Fortnite that I really like, is where you see these edit plays and how you can kind of utilize the building to your effect. We haven't been in any really wall replace situations too much. I want to see a load of those. That's where I get really enthusiastic about it, whether you can get that wall or not, make the edit, put the window. But we've seen a lot of the kind of later game fighting where it's fighting while you're moving.
Yeah, and here. Definitely Aiden and Nick Merckx are watching this in preparation for next week. See whether Poverty and Zeke are going to actually be a threat to them. 3 teams in the Tilted that time. Now, over to Fatal again. This is the same story we've seen time and time again. These guys, Ike and Pestero against Shikuni and Macias. They never actually ended up fighting in any of the games that we've watched today, Stress.
Yeah, we haven't seen too much out of them. There are a few duos that have been quite quiet.
They've been poking each other. They've been poking the nest, but never do the stingers come out.
Well, this is Shikuni and Macias at this point around Fatal. It was a different team that we saw in the previous game that were just poking out of those cornfields trying to get any shots that they can. Now over to Tilted. You mentioned Zeke and Poverty. We put a lot of expectations on their shoulders, and no victory royales yet. Still 3 rounds to go, and we say yet because they have been performing well.
They have been. We've been seeing them towards the end game. I'm not sure about their eliminations, but we've definitely been seeing them towards the end game. It's just a question of whether they're getting over that threshold. And we'll end up finding out. Tilted going a little quiet. They're all splitting it, and that's pretty typical.
Evil.
Unless you're up against Aiden. He's not in this game. So.
He will be here next week with Nick Merckx playing in duos. So I dare to see if anybody challenges him at Tilted. That'll be the interesting one. So at this point, we're looking at Helu and his inventory. Swap over to his partner, Evil. They're pretty well stocked here. Both of them having that legendary shotgun to be able to deal that massive upfront damage.
And one of the important things about their rotation path here is, and they're farming those good materials like I'm talking about, right? So you saw they had about 110 builds. It's getting close to max. They started in Tomato Temple, farmed a lot of brick on the side. That spot right there, right on the edge of Whaling, has so much brick to max out on.
A lot of brick, but now a lot of other people around. This is Precious and Advice. They won the last round, and it's Jazalk as well that is here. But Tilted, we're back to this fight. Poverty a long way away. Zeke and Heisel, and they're on the bottom floor here, but he hasn't found the right position in this fight. As they're going down underground, this edit is a little bit of a dangerous play, but gets the replace, or at least gets that pyramid above to protect himself. And now, but Heisel is in a dangerous situation. If he can find anything, we're jumping quickly over towards
Junk Junction
towards the top side of the map.
They have zone, so it's a corner one. It's all the way off the side here, so they're going to have plenty of time to engage here. And actually
drops in 9 health, but able to pick up the knockdown for now. A lot of spray coming through as KQI able to get himself in position. 9 health, has bandages though.
Yeah, Kuki there. As soon as the minigun came out, he actually, oh, this is still going on. Sumru fighting against Grisby. Yeah, Kuki, he saw the minigun come out and he said, okay, actually, I got to take shots in between my builds because my builds are going to start getting shredded. So he did manage to take a little bit of damage.
Sumru just drops in, but he's not quite able to find Kuki as Breezy Be God is down there as well.
There's that minigun again. So when you hear that, you just start shaking. You're just in your box, sweating a little bit.
Oh, does find a launch pad. If maybe he can find an angle to jump away, but Sumru, somebody I even think was firing from the south side of this exchange. That's at least 50 damage down onto Greasy Be God to start this one off, trying to just get as much as he can. But here's the play from Kuki, trying to get up and around the outside, but gets delayed. That's a big shotgun that comes through. Kuki ends up getting down. Sumeru going to try and pick up that elimination for himself. Ends up getting it as the fall damage comes through. Greasy Be God has the high ground for now, though.
So, let's see how this fight continues to play out there. I thought that edit was definitely going to be fatal, but it ended up working out in advantage of the player who didn't make the edit. And he's going to launch pad out of there. But Sumru trying to get as much damage as possible. He's going to be able to use that and rotate towards zone, but maybe he doesn't want to. Maybe he just wants to stay in Junk Junction. It is in zone.
So we're on with Zeke and Poverty. No eliminations to their name, but there are now 2 or 3 other duos. I think one of the duos is up in that storm wing up above Tilted. We saw a little vehicle indicator.
Look who snuck into Tilted and took that big gray tower. It's Mozart and Richard.
And perhaps for some of the viewers that don't watch a lot of competitive Fortnite, we'll talk about it when we go back to Tilted, but that wall replace is so important. But there's a bit of a firefight going on with Laidback and Camzon. We haven't seen these guys too much in the previous games, and at this point they're a little pinned down. Team in front of them, team behind them, and basically a team underneath as well.
No launch pads on Camson. We're going to see if Laidback has any, because I definitely don't want to be in this situation unless I'm starting to get a little bit aggressive, and maybe even this is still the second zone. This is early second zone. There's only a few teams around, and maybe those other ones are going to rotate away. So this is time to fight. This is the time to maybe try to grab that loot from these guys. But actually here, Leon and Zero.
Yeah, we're over at that little lodge area beside Pleasant Park, and trying to just make his way out is Leon. It is a 2 versus 2 situation, but up goes the structure from Gumiak.
Those 90s there, trying to take as much height as possible. No,
gonna just drop off for a moment, but doesn't really get punished for it too much. Gumiak has that high ground. Leon is all the way down.
This is the fighting that we're starting to see. These players are getting way more comfortable now.
But look, this is one thing we talked about. Leon and Zero, they don't find any positioning and say, okay, let's back away, reset this one. Maybe they'll come down to us and look for a different play.
They have to eventually, and that's why that kind of turtle down strategy is so strong, especially when you're in duos versus duos. You end up telling your teammate, hey, actually turtle down, turtle down, turtle down. That's a communication that they always use, but now Gumiak and CJ using that high ground to great effect to try to pressure.
Yeah, those stink grenades force Leon to keep moving. Now they're going to throw the explosives out as well, trying to just get any kind of cover cleared away, but Zero does manage to get himself out to his own little corner piece just outside.
And that's a little risky now. Leon and Zero getting a little bit of split up, but one of the things that Zero is doing, he's kind of getting a different angle, which is nice. He has that silent sniper rifle. He can take a surprise shot at somebody if they don't realize he's on the edge there.
Trying to just get any materials. He's got 59 builds for now. So at least for this engage should be okay. But you were talking about when you're going 2 versus 2, wasting materials early on. 59 now and being caught in another fight makes it very difficult without picking up a bunch of materials on the way to the late game to actually farm that back up.
Yeah, and now Storm Surge starting to take effect. So many players still alive. And for those who don't know, Storm Surge is actually, hold on, Gumiak still managing to get damage done on Leon.
Gumiak finds himself a little bit of a window.
This is so critical here. Zero actually giving up his position. Leon was distracting them. He might have been able to get that shot, but now they realize where he is.
Oh, Stink Grenade is going to eat through a lot of his health. Only 55, real difficult situation to be in here.
He's so low now. Leon is trying to take it to him. He's trying to come all the way around. He does not yet find him. There it is. Leon picks one off, and now it's Gumiak versus Zero.
He's trying to go aggressive before the second player comes towards him. He actually just spots that build the ramp, but look, 2 versus 1. Too much to deal with, and Gumiak falls to Leon. Good play by Leon and Zero.
I really like the play there by Zero and Leon. Zero kind of took a little bit of a different fight, but we're going to go ahead and hop on towards the edge.
Cling, cling, cling go the grenades going in those clingers. Yakos is trying to throw as much as he can, and look at how it erodes away. He's got the bush as well, so maybe might be saved. There it's gone. The bush away, so that safety for now will not be prevalent.
You can see this is such a tough fight here for Fixer and Zaki, because that Stormwing is also pressuring them so much, and Philip and Jarkos going to take it to them again as the Stormwing comes in, and that's it. Fixer goes down, Zaki left in against 2.
Yeah, Philip and Yakos able to settle themselves as Zaki, as he said, left alone. That Stormwing was just hovering around the coast, and it's doing it again. It's just kind of strafing along the coastline, and it's within the zone, and this is an area that becomes very difficult to actually contest, and that Stormwing should be up there for quite some time.
Yeah, you actually see a bunch of Stormwings, sometimes just flying down on the side and not actually showing themselves. They go all the way down on the side of the map. It's a little risky if you get shot and you end up blowing up your Stormwing. You go off the map.
Here we go. Storm Surge. You were talking about it already. This is where we've got so many players left in the lobby.
Yeah, so it's going to target those players who are below the damage threshold. You can see above the mini-map right here. These players are above, but again, Philip and Jarkos taking it to Chaway. I think this player actually came out of the plane.
May very well have done, because the plane is no longer there alongside the Stormwing. Looks like his duo was split quite far, and Yakos just managing to get that elimination there for his duo. So maybe a little bit of miscommunication on how to play that one out.
Yeah, you can see Zaki was still there. That was the player from the original duo that we were fighting. So I believe that Stormwing came down. And now you can see the overview here of Pleasant Park. Dialer and Heisel on the side. Just the heavy snipe.
Oof, doesn't quite connect, but still throwing out that shot as much as he can, Simon.
I really like this. This is when Storm Surge, they realize, hey, I got to stay above the Storm Surge. They're going to try to take shots on the planes, and that brings the planes down. As they get any chip damage they can is so nice.
Ooh, we just saw Fake Smiley scope in, try and get Dialer or Heisel on the rotation across. Leon, that was one of the duos we were following before. Damage comes out from Will Q on the side, though. We're jumping around quite a lot because there's a lot of action thanks to that Storm Surge. It's forcing fights as we get towards this mid-game point with the zones closing in.
There's Precious and Advice, our winners from last game. We'll see if they can get that consistency that they want, but Dialer and Heisel have had such a tough time rotating in as those players were taking snipe shots at them. Now they have that mountain on the side. Is kind of blocking Zero and Leon's perspective, but this fight is really starting to heat up.
Oh, Katrab, it's Advice and Precious that are raining down upon him, and at this point, every time we see Katrab, it seems like they're in a really rough situation to be in. They're constantly in the mix, but when they're going up against Advice and Precious, it's a very difficult spot. But Precious and Advice say, okay, let's just launch pad away, and those shots don't connect the way the Katrab wants them to.
Yeah, and Katrab and Rat Tree, we've seen these players time and time again. They're actually very, very aggressive. They're probably the most aggressive we've seen so far, because they're getting in all sorts of fights. And Advice and Precious using that launch pad to get away, try to get a good position in zone. And now all it is center zone and high ground. That's what they're looking for here.
I'm just laughing because every time I see Smiley, he's still got clingers, like the entire time. I wonder how many he actually picked up in this game. Minigun's going to rain through. This is one of the situations trying to break the ceiling so that those clingers just fall right the way through. If they can stick onto one of the players, that's an easy down.
Yeah, that minigun getting more and more use as it kind of got a little bit of changes as it starts to have that overheat mechanic, shoot a little bit faster. Now, Massius and Shikuni, we saw them definitely towards the end games in a few games.
And it feels like they just stole the high ground from Fake Smiley.
Yeah, but I'm not sure if that was the right play. They're going to take a lot of shots right now. And why I say that necessarily wasn't the right play is because the zone is going to move.
Yeah, zone coming through. You can see it's all up on the high ground is where we're going. We're mountain running once again in this game as this storm is going to close in.
We'll see if these players start to learn their lesson and get towards that mountain and start using the mountain goats like I talk about, but it's really on that mountain.
Couple of players already on the way up the mountain. Shikuni fires off a few shots, does tag a couple.
Right, and they do have a launch pad, they do have a rift to go, so I might take back my thing about that not necessarily being the right play. But zone wasn't fortunate, they weren't fortunate enough to get the zone. If they did, they would have been really lucky there.
But not every duo is going to have that mobility, right? So while that might not apply to them, there certainly are people that are going to have to start making that move early on and start trying to make that risky play. But for now, Greasy Bigard, we saw his duo get eliminated earlier, and now he's under fire from Will Q. Will Q, if you excuse me, on the side. Shikuni and Macius still have that high ground. Richard is caught out. That's 3 directions of fire plus the explosives, those clingers. Richard is in such a difficult position. Surely he can't survive through this, but he will launch pad away, almost akin to the way that he won earlier in round 2.
Yeah, but now Mozart is left alone, and I don't think he has any mobility. He's going to go down, unfortunately, but he had to make that quick decision, and that's what you have to do sometimes.
And perhaps Richard getting away, if he can stay healthy, if he can survive longer, get those placement points, maybe that'll have the impact to drag them back up the standings.
Yeah, we saw Noisy do that without Lothar in the other game, so maybe it's still going to be able to happen. But Vince and QLN being so aggressive with holding players out of the zone here.
Yeah, they're trying to just gatekeep as much as they can, but look, Hamzon is up above them, laid back, manages to get in, and the zone is moving. Rift to go from QLN is going to allow them to traverse a lot of this high ground.
That's why they were so aggressive on that gatekeeping. We did see Richard go down in the action feed there, but they had that Rift to go. And that's why they were so aggressive. That's why, because they were able to launch onto that and get a good position no matter what.
Oh, Katrab fell as well. I just saw it in that action feed. Hupek and Skix, 2 players that have gone under the radar quite a bit. We mentioned them at the beginning of the day, but haven't been able to do much, whereas Precious and Advice are on the other side. Greasy Bigard is there.
You could actually see Precious sitting inside of a cone right there. That transparency is so good for him, because and nobody actually knows where he is because that brick has fully formed. So they're actually split, Precious and Advice right now. We'll see what they're going to be able to do. They need to get clumped together. They need to make sure that they're going to be able to rotate up that mountain if need be.
Yeah, now Hupek's going to be the first one to move, but look at how much damage he takes in exchange for it. It's only shields for now, so he is healthy enough.
Yeah, you could actually see Precious and Advice immediately moving. That's where the zone is going to be next. That's the half in, half out zone. They're taking a good position right off bat.
Yeah, right off the bat as Hilo tries to move as well. Cass ends up getting downed on the outside. You can see Star, he's a name that we've seen a bunch cropping up. Hashtag, he won the first game with Taboo. We have a lot of our winners still alive, so we could be in a situation where we're seeing people win a second, but look at how much higher Vins and QLN are.
Yeah, that was due to that Rift to go. They still have that launch pad, so they're in a really good shape going into the next zone as they can continue the launch pad. So it's on that side of the mountain. Hycel right now, he's taking so much pressure from all the players already in that half-in zone.
This is the moment where it's all about where do these next few zones go. Where?
It's starting to move.
This is the moment where they have to make that decision. And look, QLN's going to go for the launch pad. This is where you can just drop back on, recycle that launch pad, and look at how it allows him to bounce back over the mountain, get into a better situation.
And it saves that launch pad that we saw them earlier, right? They had the Rift to go and the launch pad. They still have that launch pad.
Oh, Star's going to try and find his way through. Nezek took a lot of damage on his way down. There's a lot more players than we actually had first thought because of the way the mountain was obscuring a lot of the motion, but Hycel trying to desperately get back in. Mundo and Shadow, they're kind of holed up on the top of this mountain as over the top come a couple of players. That's Hashtag and Taboo.
He landed on that airdrop there. He's going to be able to get more mobility if he needs to or top off on any HP, but I do want to talk about really quickly here, Jarkos and Philip up in that Stormwing. They are in that moving zone now.
And with 3 eliminations already on Jarkos, that's already good points. If they're playing for more, then look, they've got to get past like Shikuni and some of the ones that are on the high ground.
Yeah, we talked about Massius and Shikuni stopping and building up on the zone, but they did get a really good position here in the next, towards that endgame. Noise is still up. Who else? We're looking around.
Rovka, Mikey right in the middle of your screen as well. Will Q, Hupek. So many of these players we've been wanting to see more from. Even Deoxide has had some pretty good performances when it comes to picking up eliminations. And this one really at this point is almost anyone's to take. I wonder how these next few zones look. This is quite a big move now as Nezek. Everybody trying to just rotate up north towards the storm. Storm surge warning has become active, so people have got to get the damage out as well. Look, trapped in the storm for now is Taboo, but he manages to get out.
Yeah, he definitely manages to get out. He's trying to get ahead, but he really needs to be careful because the Storm Surge is going to happen the next time maybe as well. But now, starting to...
Oh, Macius! Did he actually pick that up? As they're trying to drop down, Macius did take out Taboo, gets the elimination for himself as they're trying to rotate. Shikuni drops down off the high ground as you can see everybody's now down on the low. Skix is down there. Precious is down there as well. There's a lot of high health people that are still alive.
You see Macius and Shikuni taking their time as they go through. Shikuni actually picks up an Elim for his own. Now, they're just kind of leeching on everybody's builds. They need to go down there. They're a little bit too high.
That ramp just saving him before he was about to fall for a lot of damage.
Yeah, that waterfall is such a good tactic. They need to make sure they're just a little bit higher than or a little bit lower.
Oh, massive damage down onto Skix as he will fall. That's one of the
my goodness!
Was that Precious that he ends up taking down?
Yeah, he took out Dejut right there, and now Smiley actually takes high ground from them, so this is a little bit different. Changing things up. Hupek is still up as well.
And Hupek and Skix got 5 eliminations between them. As you said, they're all trying to move with this zone as Hupek's on the side. You can see Retai coming up from the top side. There's a launch pad comes out. That's going to allow them to just drift above the zone.
Risky,
12 people.
That launch pad gives the ability for everybody to
trap.
The trap. And there's so much damage. They're making sure that nobody's going to take it, but Jarkos takes it.
Gets a lot of the damage through here as Fake Smiley. That was 1 elimination on the game so far. Has a compact SMG if he wants to try and get that out. Macius and Philip still at the top of the zone.
They're still fighting for it, but Philip is going to go down. He's going to meet with his teammate Jarkos, and they are looking like they're in a good position. They have both duos up right now and in mid-ground.
Icefire just took so much damage, but so did Hupek. Hupek is actually going to get eliminated here as his duo partner was already taken out. That's a massive hit from Fake Smiley.
There's an RPG out in play. I'm not sure who has that, but everybody on high ground needs to be so careful now.
Fake Smiley gets another one for himself as this zone is really closing in. This is where that RPG, if it's coming from the high ground, is going to be a massive play. Are we down to 2? Fake Smiley's going to be building up. No, we're not down to 2, but everybody's so high up.
Yeah, it's still Massey's up on high ground, the CP team, but he edits him down, and he makes it, and he takes high ground, so no!
Ooh, damage traded as Macius gets taken out in the middle. There's 3 players left. It's a 2 versus 1 from
The minigun! Oh my goodness! He gets the fall damage! Side. The minigun at the last second coming out. Again, a surprise victory there. Knocks them off of high ground.
Real tie with the massive low ground versus high ground minigun play to win round 5 of the ESL Katowice Royale.
What an ending that was, man.
Wow, that's what we want, isn't it? I said things were going to heat up. I don't make promises that don't come true, gentlemen. I mean, what a fantastic way to end it. Just whipping out the minigun when it was needed.
I love it. Those moments, we've had so many today already where low ground has actually beaten high ground with these things that you're not quite expecting at the end. We saw the launch pad play earlier, now a minigun to make sure they drop off.
Yeah, man, my heart is
Same.
That's the loudest the desk has got so far, right? I think that's what I want to hear, gentlemen. Fantastic stuff, as always. And the Victory Royale, going to Icefire and Real Time. Another duo coming up with the Victory Royale. That's 5 games, 5 different winners.
I'm lost for words.
Did you want to take a moment? Can we get this man a bottle of water?
No, that's actually fantastic, and I love to see a bunch of different names come out. And that's what I wanted to see coming out of this Polish event, is new names coming out of the fold. And Real Tie there, that's just fantastic, really. I'm just so giddy about it.
I love you, dude. This is fantastic. This is what I want to see from all of these guys. Oh, dude, there's so much love going on here on the desk. I want to talk about how important consistency is going to be, though, because we've had 5 different 5 different duos, taking the Victory Royale now, but there's a couple of names that keep popping up, and Taboo and Hashtag always seem to be around that end zone.
Yeah, they were in the end zone this one, as was Precious. These are our former winners, and this is where we're talking about it. A win plus a good placement later on can be enough to just maintain your position at the top of the standings, and the fact that nobody's done a double win yet means there shouldn't be that much of a gap in the standings.
Yeah, it's going to be very close, and one thing I want to touch on is those placements really are mattering because there's not any big eliminator. Like, we haven't seen anybody get to the big bonus territory, which is like the 7 elims, the 8 elims, that kind of thing. So really, there's none of these huge elimination points. It's all placement right now.
Yeah, it is all placement, and I wonder if someone is going to go for a big elim game or something like that towards the end. But there have been opportunities. See, I mean, if you get to that end game, there has been so many players left alive in that end zone. There's always the chance of that big elim game, even if you've got nothing going into that end zone.
Yeah, we can take a look at some of the engagements that we saw early on. As this is the one up at Lonely Lodge where, was this the edit play, if I'm remembering correctly? Edits it, then flosses.
And they both flossed. I didn't even realize that.
Gotta go with that dental hygiene.
That synchronization, that's teamwork if I've ever seen it. So, yeah, a bunch of engagements, a lot more, and here we're at the end game. This is one of those spots. He actually takes out Noisy there. That was one of the players we were watching.
I would love to hear the communication on the last play of the game when they're on the high ground and just see how it actually played out, because they must have been like, we've got this, we've got this. But all the way through, there were these pivotal fights that just keep going back and forth, and one kill here and there. And so many times you don't see the duos actually both get that elimination. You know, it's the moment where one survives and just lives to fight another day.
Yeah, I'll tell you what the comms were like. They're saying, we're legit chilling up on high ground. Every time, we're legit chilling. That's all they're doing.
Then they get legit clapped.
They did get legit clapped towards the end, but
I'm just sitting here. I'm just standing here and smiling at the moment. Gentlemen, absolutely fantastic stuff as always. It's time to go down to Adam, who's on the stage now with our winners from the last game.
Thank you so much, Mark. I'm joined now by Icefire and Real Tie, our Game 5 victors. What an unbelievable ending to that game with the minigun there. Real Tie, I'll ask you, tell us what happened in those last few moments.
Actually, I picked this minigun up like 1 minute earlier, so it was pretty nice to actually fire it up.
An absolutely perfect drop that worked in your favor. You got 8 eliminations in that game. It puts you in a really good stead, 105 points combined with the 65 points for Victory Royale as well. How do you feel going into Game 6 in this tournament?
We will focus on to do the same things like that. I think if we play the same style, to take damage to players by every explode, every IR damage, we can win again, I think.
I asked a second ago as well how much you're enjoying playing here at Katowice Royale. How's the experience been for you guys? You seem like you're absolutely loving this.
Yeah, the stage is really nice. Like, it's the best stage that Fortnite ever has, so it's really cool to be here.
It's pretty cool. What do you think of the llamas? They're cool, right? Thank you, guys. Thank you both so much. Icefire and Real Tie, our Game 5 winners. Absolutely amazing. But we do have 2 games. Oh, they're gone. Okay, bye. We have 2. We have 2 games left coming your way. We must take a quick break. We're back very soon. I will see you in just a few.